Everyone gets anxious at camp when they're out on the trail alone. But there's no need to worry. In this video, we will go over 5 different things you can do to keep your mind at ease, and we're going to step into it right now. Hey, thanks for stopping by. My trail name is Escape, and here at Escape in the Office, I bring you along on my adventures, and we go over gear, tips, and tricks, all things to make your next escape from your office more enjoyable. Let's get into it. A lot of hikers prefer to hike with a group or with a partner, but sometimes the circumstances may change and you might have to hike alone for one reason or another. Now, normally hiking and backpacking is a calming, oddly while being a workout, but rewarding activity. Now, sometimes things might go out on a trail that's a great trip that might change things and change it to become a little bit scary. So here we're going to go over a few things that will just help out and reduce the anxiety. Okay, so we're going to start off with a couple prevention measures that you can take before even stepping foot out on the trail. And the first one is know where you're going. As always, I've said planning ahead is a great thing to do. And the first thing you can do is just study the maps of the area that you're going. And while you're studying those maps, note some certain bailout points, I guess you could call them, where you might come to a road crossing or get close to one. That way, if one of your anxieties is about something happening, you just know there's good ways to get back to a road and back to town. And while you are studying those maps, take a look at the area you're going to and see what lives in the area. Find out what breed of bears and what snakes are there, if there's coyotes or mountain lions. You know, whatever fuzzy or scaly animal that might scare you, find out which ones live there. You might find that there are none there at all, depending on where you are in the world, or you might find that they just don't inhabit that specific area you're going to, and they're native to somewhere else nearby, maybe 50 miles away. Either way, there are tons of resources out there for most areas that are popular for hiking and backpacking, and you should be able to find what lives there pretty easily. And of course, as I've mentioned plenty of times before, make sure that somebody knows where you're going. Make sure you give them the date you're going to be there, the route you're planning on taking, where you're expected to stay at night in a shelter or campsite area, and your return date. And the last big thing you can do is make sure you carry a personal locator beacon or a GPS unit like a Spot or a Garmin in reach. That way you have a way to get back to your contact and say, hey, I'm fine, because they all have text messaging these days and can let people at home know that you're good to go. Moving on to number 2, this is the second of the prevention methods before you even get in the car and start driving to the trailhead, and that is knowing the weather. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Definitely keep an eye on the weather because it can change at any time. You can start off nice and sunny and next thing you know you're getting stormed on. So always check the weather before you're going. If it looks like it's going to be dangerous, please stay home. I don't want you to put yourself in a dangerous situation. You can always reschedule. The trail will be there for you. In the same vein, while you are out on the trail, make sure you know how to deal with each situation. So if the weather did look nice, but it does change on you, know how to deal with storms. If you're out there in the cold, know how to stay warm. If you're out there in the desert, make sure you know about heat strokes and how to identify the signs. So make sure that you are safe. And if you want something that can help you out, please check this video up here and look for the SAS Survival Guide. It's an app you can just put on your phone, and he has tons of things listed for pretty much every climate and every situation to help keep you going. Okay, so moving on to more on-trail stuff, let's talk about animals. So the first thing you got to remember is that most animals out on the trail are actually afraid of you. You're not natural to their environment, they're not used to you, so they will more than likely run away. Okay, so while you're at camp and you hear those sounds off in the distance, just keep in mind that not all sounds out on the trail are a bear coming in to grab your food. It's insane how loud squirrels can sound in the dead of night. They're pretty noisy little creatures. And owls can give off a horrendous screech that sounds like a woman screaming. It is amazingly awful. It's the best way to put it. So not all sounds are something trying to come in to get your food. In the same vein, remember that they might not actually be nearby. Sound carries very well at night, so they might be a half a mile away and sound like they're right on top of you. But if animal sounds is one of the things that's kind of getting to you, one thing you can do is just carry a little Bluetooth speaker and listen to music. However, to be polite, do keep it low enough that, you walk 20 feet away from your campsite, you can't hear it. Okay, you don't know if somebody is stealth camping, you know, just over the ridge or just out of sight of you. So you don't want to let other people know that, hey, I'm listening to music. Just be polite to the others out there. Keep in mind that animals have some excellent hearing, and even if you're playing it low, when they come up close to your tent and they hear that music playing, they'll go, what is that? And just run away because it's not natural to the environment. Okay, a few other quick little things about animals. Remember that if you're hiking in spring, fall, or winter, depending on when you go, later in the fall, early in the spring, or in the middle of winter, some animals hibernate, so they might not actually even be out and about. And you also always want to properly store your food. If worrying about animals is one of the things that gets to you, if you properly hang your food bags or use a bear canister in the areas that require it, you don't have to worry. As long as you don't give them a reason to come up to your tent, they won't come up to it. And the last thing while we're speaking of animals is if you have a household dog that's capable of it, bring them along. You know, they might actually enjoy the trip. They're great hiking partners, and they'll alert you if there's a problem, because if you hear something off in the distance but they're not stirred by it at all when they normally would be, they're not concerned, it's too far away. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, please do hit that like button and then let me know down in the comments, what is it that you usually do to put your mind at ease when you're alone on the trail? Is it something that I missed? Let's talk about it down in the comments. Moving on to number 4, and that is the second thing that we have to deal with out on the trail pretty much all the time, and that is people. Now, when I say all the time, I don't mean the entirety of every trip. You know, you might see one person once a day or once every other day out on the trail, but you will eventually have to deal with somebody out there. Now, keep in mind that most people are generally cool. Most hikers I've ran into and met, some of the best people I've ever met, just awesome to talk to. However, there are weirdos out there. Now, when it comes to dealing with those weirdos, just remember a couple things. They're not hiking very far out to cause trouble. It's usually close to a town or a trailhead, and you're not gonna find them deep in the backcountry, 20 miles out. But if it does make you feel better, then carry some pepper spray or bear spray to help out with animals, and keep a pocket knife handy, just in case it still kind of weirds you out a little bit. But generally remember that it's not a problem. People are generally cool out on the trail. But if people aren't your concern and animals are, then maybe plan your route to have you stay at popular campsites.
What?
Campsites, huh? Popular campsites. And, that way you're around other people and just a little bit more at ease, just knowing there's somebody nearby that can help keep things safe. Putting it all together at number 5, and that is problem sleeping. Now, there's been plenty of times where you'll be out hiking and then you get to camp, get everything set up, eat, go to bed, and then you go to lay down and sleep and you can't sleep. Sometimes that's a little bit of the trail anxiety kicking in. So the first thing you can do is when you're plan for full days. Get up with the sunrise and hike all day, clear until sunset. Whether it's high mileage because it's flat terrain or lots of elevation because it's, mountainous, whatever will tire you out, so that way when you get to camp and you're done eating and you're done with the camp chores and you go to lay down, you're just, a fulfilled exhausted because you accomplished something. Helps make going to sleep a lot easier. As I mentioned before, listen to music as you're going to sleep. It's nice to just doze off listening to something you enjoy. But another thing you can do that I very much enjoy when out on the trail is read. I tend to read almost every night when I'm out on the trail just because it helps me doze off. I usually pick a few books and put them on my phone and just read something that I've read before but haven't read in a while. I do that so that way it's not a book where I'm compelled to find out what happened in the next chapter because I've already read it. But it's great to do that. Another tip here, this isn't for everyone or every situation, so if you are a recovering alcoholic, you can ignore this, please don't dive back in. But that is grab some adult beverages and have a shot or two before going to bed. It just helps kind of bring the nerves down just a little bit and helps you doze off. But like I said, if you can't or need to avoid it, then please do avoid that. And by all means, don't overdo it. If you do have a couple of beverages, you don't want to be dehydrated the next day. And if it's cold out, avoid it entirely because it will not help you keep warm. That's an illusion. Just remember, hiking is a great activity and mitigating the fears is something you can do all the way from the planning stages up until you get back in your car to go home. If done right, you can have an amazing trip and enjoy yourself the entire time with minimal fears and anxieties. If you found this video helpful, please do like, comment, subscribe, and then hit that little notification bell so that way YouTube does tell you when I upload the next video. I want to thank you for watching, escape the office, and get outside.